Morning, Sean.
What's said?
Good to see you here today, bright and early. Hey, good morning, Malika. Glad you can join us today. See you both here today, even a couple minutes early. So it is 10:30 right now, so let's give it about 5 more minutes. I'll send a reminder out. We will see who else we get on board. Good morning, Mr. Waddell.
What
Good to see
up?
you.
Yo, morning.
I hope you all had a excellent weekend.
Uh, nah, boring as always.
Uh, Better than nothing. Boring means we're staying safe, which makes me happy to hear.
Just stay in the house, man. I
All,
don't like it.
all good things.
I like it, but to a certain extent.
Morning, Bev. Long time no see. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. I saw you last period. Let me send a quick reminder out here to everybody else. See who else we get logged on board. Who else has joined us here? Let's see. And Nakaya is with us. Good, good. Send that one quick reminder. All right. About 3 more minutes, let's gents, and then we will get into it for second period today. okay. Good morning, Shirley Ann. Good to see you. All right, y'all, about another 2 minutes, and then we will jump in. While we're waiting, you can head to Summit if you have not done so already. Everybody in here should have no problem getting to their class since you are all registered and assigned. All right, y'all, another minute, and then we'll jump in. Again, good to see you all. I hope you all had a great, weekend. And it's good to see you back for our third to last week of this term. All right, y'all, it is 10:35, so we will jump into it. Welcome again. Good morning. Again, as always, good to see you all here on this beautiful Monday. Thank you for being back with us today. So, ladies and gents, to get us started today, I'm going to put kind of a do now warm-up question in the chat that you all can respond to. And then once we talk about this, we'll get into what our next steps are in this project on Summit, since the end of the term is fast approaching. But our thought for the day is our question for the day is in the chat now. Good morning, Keon. And it is, what is a thesis statement and why are they important when writing? So I want you to take a minute or two and think about that question. And if you can come up with an answer, please put it in the chat. Again, our question is, what is a thesis statement and why are they important when we are writing? Take a minute or two, put this up in the chat for me, please. Your response, your thoughts to this. All right, should start to see some of these answers coming in now. Again, our question is in the chat. But what is a thesis statement? Why are they important when writing? Hopefully you've heard that term before, a thesis statement. So what does that mean? What is a thesis statement? And if you know what they are, why are they important when we write? If we are getting stumped, I will give you a hint that if you know what a claim is, when you make an argument, a thesis statement and a claim are very, very similar. So maybe that can help you define this for our question today. But any thoughts on this? Or are we all stumped here? No thoughts on this? Another hint is that your thesis statement will usually come at the end of your intro paragraph when you're writing something. So, does that help at all thinking about what it might be? The main point of a subject. Yes, Waddell, thank you. There's some life out there. Yes, your thesis statement is your main point, um, your main point, your main claim when you are um, writing a response, whether it's an essay or an argumentative piece, anything like that. Your main thesis, your thesis is kind of your main idea, the main point you are trying to get across. All right. So thank you, Vidal. So now let's think about the second part of that question. Why are these important when we write something? Why is it important to have a thesis statement, do we think? Anybody who can respond to that in the chat for us or turn your mic on?
Hey there, are you sure?
Sorry about that. All right. Any thoughts on this? Why are thesis statements important when we write? Why should I always have a thesis statement? Why can't I just, kind of jump right in? What do thesis statements do that are important that help us make a good essay, a good response? Any thoughts on this, or have I lost you all? Have we all gone back to sleep this morning? Everybody has a case of the Mondays, it seems. Odell says gives us a rough idea of what's going on or where we're heading. Yes. So that's why thesis statements are important, because they kind of sum up the main points that we are going to make in our essay, in what we're gonna do, right? So they kind of give us some direction. So I know that, okay, in the rest of this essay, I want to talk about these three things or these several topics. and here's my like point that I'm going to prove. And we kind of put it into one complete sentence rather than just kind of throw it all together, hodgepodge, and the reader has no kind of idea what we're trying to prove, right? These are going to be super important in our final product for this class since we will be writing a short essay about character traits and how authors develop those traits, right? So what we'll do today is I have a short video for us to watch that kind of sums up how to craft a good thesis statement. So we can be thinking about all this stuff, and if we are all caught up with checkpoint one, which was due on Friday for your progress report, then this is what you're going to be moving on to doing next to start checkpoint two. So if you know that is you and you know that you're finished, think about, excuse me, some of this stuff. All right, so I'm going to share my screen right now. And then I have the captions turned on as well as my sound. So hopefully you should be able to pick up on what she's watching here. But let's be paying attention because we're going to recap. And I want you guys to be able to tell me what's one thing she says that can help us make a good thesis statement. So let's make sure we're able to do that at the end of this video. All right, here we go.
Hey there. Are you struggling with writing a thesis statement? Don't frown. Scriber to the rescue. Hi, I'm Jessica from Scriber, here to help you achieve your academic goals. Are you ready to get things done? I'll show you how to write an awesome thesis statement in 3 steps. It's good to first point out what a thesis statement does. It sums up the main point of your paper, just 1 or 2 sentences long, and usually appears at the end of your introduction. Once you've established a thesis statement, you can keep it in mind throughout the whole writing process and say goodbye to going off topic. Sounds good? Now, you only need 3 simple ingredients to cook up a great thesis statement. You need to mention the main topic of your paper, take a position and state your argument, and summarize the evidence you'll use to support your argument. Here we go! 3 steps to write a thesis statement. Step 1. We need to come up with a research question. So a research question would be, what were the main factors that led to the result of the 2016 Brexit referendum? If you want to know how to formulate a strong research question, I have a video on that as well. Step 2. Find a tentative answer to the research question you came up with in step 1. Since we're taking an argumentative approach here, the answer should take a strong position on the topic. So something like this. Brexit was driven by political frustration, and this will be the initial thesis statement. Next, as we keep on researching, we discover more evidence and sources. So keep developing and refining your thesis statement. The final thesis statement should be elaborate and also summarizes the overall argument. The Brexit referendum result was driven by working class frustration with the political elite, caused by austerity policies that have eroded public services and fragmented communities. The referendum offered an alternative to the status quo.
Now that is obviously, there's a lot of stuff in there. So that's pretty much like the pinnacle example of a great thesis statement. So if you can't get yours there, like that on the first try or when we're doing this checkpoint, don't worry about it. The more important stuff is to remember what a thesis statement is and what we need to do to make a good one, right? We can focus on the words and the language we use after we get that other stuff down. But this just gives you an example of like a great thesis statement would look something kind of like this. But this also might be for like a college level course. So, again, don't worry if this is kind of like a lot. I don't quite know what a lot of that stuff means. That's okay.
Let's examine how strong our thesis statement is. The best thesis statement are concise, disputable, and coherent. Our thesis statement is concise. It builds up to a central argument, which is Brexit was driven by political frustration, and leaves out other information like the consequences of Brexit. To keep it concise, avoid general and vague wordings. Keep it in a sentence or 2. It's also disputable. The thesis statement took a position that some might argue the other way around. It's not a simple fact the readers will ignore. It requires further evidence and persuasion, which encourages readers to keep reading. Our thesis statement is coherent as well. The three parts of a thesis statement, topic, position, and evidence, were all well connected and presented in a logical manner. Depending on the aim of your paper, there are different types of thesis statement you can choose from. The first type is argumentative, which is the example we used earlier. An argumentative thesis statement should take a clear position, since the goal is to persuade your reader of a claim. If you want to analyze, interpret, or evaluate different aspects of a topic, then your thesis statement should map out the key points of your analysis and briefly introduce the conclusions you will draw from it. For example, the history of the UK's relationship to the EU is complicated. From the beginning, Britain has been reluctant to fully integrate into Europe, both economically and culturally. But the politics of EU membership has changed throughout the past 50 years.
So all she's showing here is the difference between, like, okay, when we're doing an argumentative thesis or like an argumentative paper, our thesis should be like, taking our stance on that argument one way or the other. Like in her example, Brexit was caused by this, versus like an expository where we're just kind of like giving information on a topic, and like these are kind of the facts, and that's what a thesis statement in that type of paper would look like, is kind of her example here. But they still all need the same kind of ingredients that she's talking about. You still have to do the same things for each one.
Of course, your paper could also aim to explain and discuss the facts of a topic. In this case, your thesis statement should summarize all the main points you will cover. Polling and surveys shed light on the demographics of the Brexit vote, which can be broken down in terms of age, ethnicity, region, and educational level. After going through this video, you should be able to come up with a strong thesis statement for your paper now. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like. If you have any question, ask away in the comments below and I will reply. See you in the next video.
All right, so a lot of good stuff there. And I see Ciara has joined us, so thank you. All right, and I will put the link to this video in the chat, like Shirley asked. That is a very good point. Thank you. So here's a link to this video if you want to watch it later. All right, but if there was anyone who was able to watch that and follow along, can anybody share in the chat one thing she mentioned that helps make a good thesis statement?
Support your argument.
Can we pull out one thing she said that you should do to make a good thesis statement? Anybody who was able to pull that out from that video? Yes, Waddell, thank you. Good job. This has to be brief, logically make sense, and debatable, right? So it has to be, we have to be able to argue that point. And I'll do a quick screen share and show you, those brief three things that kind of Waddell is mentioning, right? So this is kind of what Waddell's talking about right here. It has to, we can always think it just comes down to these three things for a good thesis statement. Mention the main topic, take a position, state your argument, and then summarize the evidence you'll use. And then in doing that, like Waddell said, it should be concise. You're taking a position, so you got to make sure that it's debatable, and then make sure that you have evidence to support it. And so if you do those three things, a good thesis statement would look like, you start here, all right? I skipped the other video. All right, never mind. All right. But you kind of start small, like Brexit was caused by political frustration, to use her example. And then as you research and you find out more about it, you move into kind of a bigger thesis statement like Brexit was caused by XYZ, and it's because of A, B, and C that it happened. And here's how I'm going to tell you about it. And kind of hitting on those points what Dell said. Like it should be brief, make sense logically, and be debatable. So if we always remember to do those three things for our thesis statement, state what the main topic is, take our position on it, and then summarize like this is the evidence I'm going to use to prove my point throughout the paper, then we have a good thesis statement, right? It can help guide our writing. It can keep us from going off topic, and it can help our paper flow much, much better. All right. Those of you who have, college plans after Yes Philly, this is something that is going to be super important when you get to that level. Because every paper in college is going to be centered around, okay, what's your thesis? What are you trying to prove? So this is good practice for some of that. If any of you know you are anticipating doing that after you are done at Yes Philly. But while we are still in Yes Philly, what we are doing for our project in the next checkpoint is exactly this, practicing thesis statements. All right. So if you are already logged on to Summit, I want you to go ahead and refresh your page real quick. And then when you refresh, you should see you now have checkpoint 2 assigned to you, which should say essay outline. All right. And I'm sharing my screen with you, so you should see kind of what it looks like. Again, English 2 is our class, In Search of Justice is our project, right? And then if you refresh your page, you should see you have checkpoint 2 right here, essay outline, okay? If you don't see it after you refresh your page, let me know. But I just assigned it this morning, so if you just do a quick refresh, then you should be good. Should be no problem, right? When you click here on checkpoint 2, if you scroll down, right, you will see the first link there says thesis check for understanding, right? And if you click this link, this comes up, looks like this, okay? Everybody give me a thumbs up or let me know when you have this pulled up so I know that you are there. Tell me in the chat, please, or just let me know that you got it. Right. Again, just let me know in the chat when you are able to get this activity pulled up. One more time, you're going to Summit. You're finding our class, which is English 2, clicking on our project, In Search of Justice with the lottery. And then you should see checkpoint 2 assigned to you right here. If you don't, excuse me. If you don't, just refresh your page up here real quick, and then it should come up. And when you click that, if you scroll down, you should see the first link says thesis check for understanding. And then if you click that, it'll look like this. So let's give everybody about another minute to get there. And when you have it pulled up, please give me a thumbs up or let me know that you got it in the chat. Right? Everybody got this pulled up? Everybody is in the right spot? If you're not, you gotta let me know. Help me help you. Thank you, Shirley. Everybody else able to pull this up? Again, you are finding thesis check for understanding under checkpoint 2 on Summit. If you don't see checkpoint 2, just give your page a quick refresh and then it should come right up. Okay. Then it looks like this. Please let me know in the chat if you have pulled it up. I've only heard from Shirley Ann so far, but I'm going to assume if I don't hear from you, then you got it because you're not telling me otherwise, since we are very silent this morning. All right, as you pull this up, you can be following along, but basically what you're going to do with this activity, okay, is it's just practice on generating a thesis statement. So you can see your kind of central question here. So like she was saying in that video, usually a thesis statement is guided by a central question. In her Brexit example, the question was, kind of what were the, what caused Brexit? What were the causes of the Brexit referendum, right? Here, this is your problem. This is your kind of question that you're thinking about for your thesis statement, which is how does an author reveal a character's personality over time? Identify one character's fear, flaw, longing, attitude, value, or aspiration, and explain how this is introduced, explained, and developed over the course of the text or a text. Now, obviously, what you're going to be using for this is the characters from The Lottery, the story that we read. So if you have completed checkpoint 1, then you have basically already done this in that checkpoint. Now you're just putting it into kind of thesis, into kind of essay writing form. All right. So my thesis should answer this question. Okay. And so if I, go down here, it gives me kind of a quick check to make sure I'm crafting a correct thesis. Does your claim identify specific character elements? Does your claim restate the language of the prompt? So do I restate what my main point or question is asking? And then does your claim include specific club claims to state how the character elements are developed? So what's the evidence I'm going to use to support this? All right. So this should be, just like she said, only about, 1 to 2 good sentences that does those 3 things that she put in her video. Identify the main point, state your position, what do you think, and then summarize, like, this is the evidence I'm going to use to give you that point. All right. And so we're going to practice thesis statements by completing this activity for one of the characters in The Lottery. Now, again, like I said, if you have already done checkpoint 1, which, just to refresh your memory, looks like this, right? If you've already done this checkpoint, then you have most of the stuff done that you need to complete that, because we looked at a couple of different characters here. We looked at, what are their character traits? What's the evidence that, what's a quote that gets us there? We explain that quote. How does it support this character trait? Okay. So you're essentially just picking one of these and turning it into a thesis statement by saying, this is how, the author develops this character's fear or longing or attitude, whatever it is, over the course of the text. Okay. Now, obviously, there's a lot of moving parts here. So we're going to be trying to work on this all this week, and I'll be helping you guys out. And you can always come to the Summit Lab if you need help as well, right? But what we're going to do right now, we got about around 20 minutes left. And I know a good bit of us are still behind on checkpoint 1 with finishing checkpoint 1, which I'm going to be checking today. Anybody that has still not turned it in, since it's coming out on your progress report on Wednesday. So what I want to do is give you guys the rest of this time to either finish checkpoint 1 and get caught up on that, or if you are finished with checkpoint 1, get started on this thesis practice activity. All right. And Waddell, I do appreciate your ongoing commentary on thesis statements in the chat. Thank you. All right. But ladies and gents, let's turn our attention to trying to either get checkpoint 1 completed and get caught up on that if we are still not finished with it. And if we are finished, which I believe might only be Malika in here so far, but good job, Malika, yay. We can start working on this thesis statement activity, all right? I will be here in the chat muted. If you have questions at any time, please just give me a shout. All right. And I will turn the rest of the time over to you guys to work on what you know you need to work on. Okay. So I will check back in about 10, 15 minutes or so and kind of see where everybody's at. All right. Good job. And just friendly reminder, ladies and gents, don't forget if you are working on checkpoint 1 and you get finished, please remember to request feedback so I know that you are done and I can check it for you and send it back if you need to change anything. All right, y'all, just a brief check back in. We got about a little bit more than 5 minutes left. I am checking some checkpoints right now. All right. Oh, sorry. Maybe you couldn't hear me. I might have been covering up my speakers. So like I said, just checking back in. I think the only one who has that's in here right now that's submitted checkpoint 1 is Malika. I just sent that back to you. Good job. So that means the rest of and I think Waddell has finished. You submitted it too already as well. Yeah. So Waddell, Keon, you guys both have quick fixes to make in your checkpoint and then resubmit it. You should be good. All right, Maliki, you're good. The rest of us, that's what we should be finishing if we're not done. And then once we finish that, we can move on to the thesis practice activity that I showed everybody today. Okay. So we got about 5 minutes left. Before we go, can everybody please give me a quick 1 to 5 in the chat of kind of where you are with everything? 5 being, I'm finished checkpoint 1. I understand the thesis activity. Just moving along. 1 being like, I'm totally lost. I still need a lot of help with everything. I'm trying to get caught up. All right. And Sierra just put a response in. Thank you. I like to see one of those from everybody. So 1 to 5, where are you at with everything right now? Actually, and also, okay, those of you who are giving me 1s, I'm going to put the link to the afternoon summit lab in the chat. So that is always a good spot to get caught up in. All right. And I am now able to put the class videos on YouTube. So those have been going up starting since last week. So class for today will be up there. So I can always share that link with you as well. To help you get caught up too. I'm gonna start to kind of backlog and put older classes on there too. All right. But the link to the afternoon summit lab is in the chat. So if you put 1 in there and you are, still need to get caught up, you still are unsure about how to do either checkpoint 1 or the thesis activity or both, feel free to come to the summit lab today or anytime this week, and I can help you out. All right. If you finish checkpoint 1, then you should be working on that thesis activity. If you're around like a 3 or a 4 in terms of your understanding of that thesis activity, then you should be good to go. We're going to work on it again next class. All right. And if you give yourself a 5, then that means you're good to go. You don't need any help from me. But know that checkpoint 1 is now, after today, it is going to be, past due. It's going to go on. It's going on your progress. It's going on progress reports. So if you're not caught up with checkpoint 1, that should be your focus, because if you finish checkpoint 1, then doing the thesis activity and eventually checkpoint 2 and the rest of the project will be much, much easier. Right. So if you need help with getting checkpoint 1 finished, don't be afraid to reach out, come to the Summit Lab. Let me know about that as well. Okay. So I've gotten numbers from Sierra, from Shirley, from Malika. Right. So still waiting to hear from Bev, Waddell, Nakaya, Keon. Let me know. Give me a 1 to 5 where you are, 5 being, I'm finished with checkpoint 1. I get what's going on with the thesis. I'm good to go. I'm just trying to get stuff finished. And then 3 is maybe kind of like, I still have to finish some of checkpoint 1, but I know what's going on. I'm good. I get the thesis thing. All right. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of 1s here. So please make sure don't give me a 4. That's awesome. Good job. So those of you who put in a 1, please try and come to the Summit Lab. I can hopefully give you more kind of one-on-one help there. And then we'll also go over this stuff again next class. Those of you who put a 1, is it more like I don't understand the thesis activity that we did today, or it's like I'm just behind and I need to catch up on checkpoint 1 and I'm kind of like having trouble with that? Or is it like a little bit of both? Shirley said just behind. Okay. Behind. All right, yeah. So again, that's why we made those Summit Labs into the schedule as a way to kind of get caught up on work. And the end of the term is fast approaching. So, we have to be starting to think about, okay, what am I gonna do to make sure I'm caught up on all my work? All right. So, ladies and gents, we only got about another minute left. So if you don't have any other questions for me, know that checkpoint 1 needs to be finished by next class. All right. If you are not caught up on it as of today, then it's going to be red for your progress report. But again, there's always time to get caught up. So don't totally freak out. And then next class, we're going to try and finish up that thesis activity and move on to the other stuff for checkpoint 2. Okay. Questions on anything? All right. That what we did today. Any other ways I can help? All right, those of you who put a 1 in the chat that are still a little behind, again, the link for the Summit Lab this afternoon is in the chat. That's from 1 to 3. Please don't be afraid to jump in there and try to get caught up, okay? All right, if there's no other questions from me, then I'm going to go ahead and end the chat. Great job today, and I will see you all again on Thursday. Good job.